Hey guys, happy Wednesday for another episode of Tip for Tip, episode 199. This is kind of a special episode. Every now and again, we do a live stream. For those of you who do not know, Tip for Tip is a weekly marketing show where we ask, or business owners ask us marketing questions in exchange for a tip in their industry. I also do want to thank the people who are jumping in after the live stream. Hope you get a lot out of this and enjoy the rest of the video. We'll get to this here in a second. But this is a special episode because this is covering some COVID-19 stuff for marketing, but also it's our live stream. So as you're jumping in live or even after the fact, make sure you leave a comment for that. So just so you guys know, my name is Aaron.
And my name is Christian. And like Aaron said, this is episode 199. We're going to be talking about some questions regarding COVID-19. And if you obviously have any questions, just drop them in the comments down below. We're going to do our best to answer those questions live. Awesome. Roll that intro.
Right, yeah.
We're back.
We're back? Okay, awesome.
Matthew commented, sorry I'm late, gentlemen. Now we can proceed. Thanks, Matthew.
Okay. No problem. We're all ready now. That's good. So any questions, Matthew, go ahead and ask. We also are different locations. I don't think we've ever done a Facebook Live where we were in different locations. You look to be somewhere in Hawaii, and I think I'm somewhere in the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. So pretty cool.
Yeah.
And Jack's doing it remotely from Texas in a discrete location. All right. So as people start to come in here, we will try to look at the comments and respond back to those and answer those questions. But we do have some questions that we want to answer or we'll pose on there. Jack, is it possible, you can probably tell us internally anyway, is it possible for you to pull up a question and put it on the screen, or do we need to ask that question? Okay.
By the way, those of you who are watching this, we're silent there for a second, but Jack is on the line. Technically, you can't hear him, but we can hear him. So we're going to try to put these questions on screen right now. But go ahead with question number one.
Yeah. And if you, a quick question, if you are, or quick statement, if you are live, make sure that you leave a comment below so that we know you're here. We'd love to shout you out. And also, we can't see, all we can see is a number. Oh, there's 7 people live. So we'd love to interact with you too. So. Okay, question number one. I think Jack's pulling it up here, so you guys will see it on the screen here in a second. But it said, should my business be advertising right now? And I'll pose this question to Christian because I think the important thing here is that there's potentially differing opinions. So I'm just curious on your side of things, Christian. Maybe we haven't talked about this, our stances. I have a stance on it, but I'm just curious your thoughts and how you would approach that.
I would say it depends, right? I think that I guess my short answer would be yes, but ... And I would definitely think about your messaging, right? I think the most important thing right now is your messaging and how you're saying things and being empathetic to everything that's happening. And don't use this as an opportunity to maybe create more panic or fear or anything like that. It should be your advertisements and your ads, anything that you run on social media should be coming from a standpoint of you wanting to help your community and help your audience in this time of uncertainty. So yes, but ... Those are, I think, my overall thoughts. I may have some other things in there, but yeah, I think every business should be advertising, but doing it correctly as well. So if it's something that you've never done before, I think this is a great opportunity to learn about it and try to do it yourself, right? You have a lot of free time in your hands right now. Not a lot of free time, but extra time that you wouldn't normally have if you were traveling to your office and having meetings and doing all these things. So I do believe it's the right time, yes. But again, I think messaging has everything to do with how you do it.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think that I think first and foremost, like you said, needing to be empathetic and aware of the situation, which is something that's probably a little bit deeper of a question that we could answer a little bit later. But let's just assume that that person is obviously taking that into consideration. My stance is also in agreements that you should be advertising. So like if your ads are doing well before, they should be doing better now in theory, just because we've seen, as you guys can imagine, the amount of people who are advertising has dropped dramatically, and the amount of people who are on their phones. So there's more people who are consuming and there's less people who are advertising. So it's an opportunity to buy right now. Some people are predicting or suggesting that it's at least 40%. So, if Christian and I were going to go, buy some shoes, and today it was 10% off and tomorrow was 40% off, and we already wanted the shoes, we would go buy it for 40% off. It's a deal, or it's a bargain. So that's kind of like the unemotional side of things. But what I would say is that it's even more important to get in front of your audience, and the reason why you would want to get in front of your audience. So if you have something that you're offering that is going to help somebody, for example, a restaurant, or example, a HVAC, I don't know about where you guys are at, but it's 78 degrees here where I'm at, and that's pretty warm. And if my air conditioner went out, which I did hear about somebody's air conditioner going out, you have a duty to advertise to those people to say, hey, I'm available and I am going to help you during this time. I want you to have AC. The last thing you want to do is not have an AC in Texas when it's 80 plus degrees. So think of it as an aspect of like you're serving your market and how can you add value, which I think is also what Christian was kind of telling too, is like your messaging needs to be focused on adding the value. Sometimes that is selling. And let's not, beat around the bush here. It doesn't matter how much you want to give back. If you don't sell anything at the end of the day, you can't be in business anyway. So there, you can accomplish both. There's a way to be empathetic. There's a way to add value, and there's a way to still make sales.
So do you think that the ads that people are running right now, businesses are running, should try to sell something, or do you think they could be running ads on growing their page or just video views and things like that?
So I guess it just depends on what their goal is. So like if you have to serve a customer in person and it's not possible to serve them in person, then you shouldn't be running ads to sell that. So for example, like if we were a CPA and there was nothing like Zoom or anything like that was possible, let's just say it didn't exist, and you had to meet with the person in person, then you shouldn't be advertising to sell, because but you could be advertising to engage, knowing that you could be building an audience so that when this all does blow over, you are able to market to them a lot easier and you could add value to them that way. However, at the same time, there's still going to be people, whether it's you or if it's somebody else, that are going to need like a trust or a will, or, people still need the services that they need every day. It just may be a reduction of that. So it's like, I kind of put it to like, is your competition running the exact same thing and they're able to serve that customer, and they acquired a customer you would have got, but they decided to advertise and you didn't. So it's just more of like, if you think that you're better than your customers, which if you're in business, you should, and you provide more value, then I think that, then you can be selling, but it's not about like the old school selling. Cause I think that that's kind of like maybe we should clarify there. It's not a, hey Christian, buy today, blah, blah, blah. It's not that. It's more of a, hey, look, if your air conditioner, we go back to that example, if your air conditioner hasn't been tuned up, or for example, if it's not as cold as what you'd like, here, schedule a free inspection. We'll come out and we'll inspect it and we'll make sure that it's good. We'll add some Freon. If you need something, then great. We're going to obviously offer to help you. If not, then we've added value to you. So I think there's a fine line way to do it and add value to people and still sell, and still have people's needs met, because they still have those needs.
Yeah. I think going back to the shoe example, that'll be a perfect example on choosing the right messaging, right? So you could do a 40% off on certain shoes, but you shouldn't do a end of days sale, 40% off, hurry and buy now. That would be the wrong messaging on that particular type of ad. So I think, what we're saying is that, yes, you should be running ads. You should do it tactfully and just be self-aware. Be self-aware of the current situation. I think this wasn't necessarily a online ad, but I did see hotels.com. I don't know if you saw that. So hotels.com, they have, what is his name? Captain Obvious. I think it's just a guy dressed up as a captain. And their ad was just him sitting on a chair, trying to eat popcorn, throwing it up. And the messaging was just, hey, stay at home. And that was it. And then this is hotels.com, they're trying to sell more hotels and all that stuff. So that's them being self-aware and obviously just informing their audience that they shouldn't be trying to go on vacation or booking any hotels right now. But still, they have that level of self-awareness that they're looking at this whole situation. They're still able to not necessarily sell anything, but just be in front of their audience, right? Just giving an empathetic and sincere message to them, right? Stay at home. That was the whole ad. It was just him sitting there, and it just said, stay at home. So,
right. It's like it's an impression play at that point, because somebody, like, for example, you brought it up now, which means that it obviously caught your attention. But more importantly, like, if you needed a hotel and, it's June or whenever else, hopefully this blows over, and you're going on vacation and you need a hotel, that may be a place that you go and book. And they may not be able to directly relate it to that ad, but what they can tell is like, hey, there was a dip, and there was a resurgence. And because of that, because we kept advertising, it happened. And I think that's a good example to tell people is that you don't see the bigger companies slowing down on their advertising. You don't see any, they have the capital. So let's just assume that money was no object. Let's follow the trends of bigger companies. They have not slowed down on their advertising. They may not be selling a product or service at the time, but they may be doing something at hotels.com where they're still in front of their customer. It's because they know that it's a numbers game. It's a matter of being in front of them, whether it's a pandemic or not. It's a matter of being in front of their customer, even if they can't offer a service yet. So I think it's just smart. Before we move on, there's something I think that this is you mentioned earlier about the shoes, or I mentioned the shoes and you mentioned the discount. And this is probably a little polarizing for some people, because I believe that you shouldn't give a discount during a time like this. And the reason that I say that is because if your job is to serve somebody, so like Christian, if I'm supposed to serve you as best as I could, and I give an enormous discount, which there is a couple of people that I know that are currently giving a discount, and it's like 40-50%. Well, that messes with profit margins and cash flow for you, so much so that it's not sustainable. So after this ends, or even currently, you may have a little bit of cash flow, but you can't sustain it and add the value to help serve your clients. So for example, if we went to going to creating websites for, let's just say, half off, and they were doing it, let's just say it was, I'm just making up a number, $200, and instead we normally would charge thousands of dollars. It's not sustainable for us to stay in business. So it wouldn't matter if we helped them right now, because we wouldn't be around to help and serve them in the future, because we gave so much of a discount that it's not possible. So yes, I think that it's good that people are finding ways to help them, which is, the whole point for us doing this live stream, and the whole point that we want to try to give back and find ways to give back. But at the same time, if we discount our services by 50%, now we run into a risk of like, hey, can we pay our bills? And it doesn't matter, because we won't be able to serve you later, or we can't serve you the same way, because Christian can't handle 50 websites right now and expect to still have the same quality of service and do everything like that. So it is a little polarizing, because some people believe you should just give crazy amount of discounts off of your service, and then you're not profitable, but then you're not a business that's around to serve them. So that's just my thought. I was just curious if you had a differing opinion or not.
No, I don't think so. Something that you alluded to earlier was, and I think there just needs to be a balance between your ads being a hard sell, and then your ads being something that will help you in the long run, right? Build an audience. So, for example, right now, us doing this live video, getting new people, new eyeballs to watch this video, we're just building audiences, right? To potentially later, when this all blows over, we have a bigger audience, just because we're taking advantage of the fact that, okay, a lot of business owners are probably working from home right now, and they probably have the flexibility to get on a live stream, right? Or watch a video, whereas before, maybe it would happen, but not all at the same time. So I would say that, yeah, has to be some sort of balance in your ads, when it comes to giving discounts and doing a hard sell, and then looking at your ads as a long-term strategy.
Well, that's actually a very good segue. I don't know if you meant to do that or not, but if Jack meant to put Jack, if you can put that next question up there, that's kind of, I mean, that's really the next part of this year. If you're jumping in live, I see that there's 5 or 6 people live currently. So if you're live, just leave a comment. We want to shout you out, want to say hello. If you have a question, drop them below. But the next question, as Jack pulls it up here, is should my social media strategy change, and if so, how? Which you kind of alluded to a little bit here, which is, we're telling people right now we're trying to add as much value as possible, but at the same time, you may not have watched our video a week ago because you weren't at home. So we are building an audience, and you could do the exact same thing. We're not trying to sugarcoat this by saying that we're just doing this to do it. No, we want to add value, but at the same time, like, we think we can add more value to you in the future too. So it is building an audience, and we want you to follow us, and we would like for you to engage with us. Like, we're not, I think that's, I don't know. We want to be as transparent as possible to tell you that. That's the reason we're here. We're here to help more people. So our strategy has changed. Normally, we probably wouldn't do a live video like this. Well, this particular episode we would, but last week we wouldn't have done a live video. It would have just been a regular Friday for us. We wouldn't have went live and did research and spent hours trying to promote it and help people with their marketing strategies. This episode just happens to be episode 199 that was supposed to be live anyway. So this is something we were already in a routine of doing. But I think that our strategy definitely has shifted some too, and has, I don't know. I think our messaging has had to shift too, more to like, let's just engage with people. Let's figure out, let's really get a pulse of our customers and the people who are following us, and what are their concerns right now? What are they really focused on doing? What are their pain points? And how can we help them?
Yeah. I absolutely agree. I mean, obviously, social media strategy has to change. How that, I think that depends on each individual business and sector and market. It's going to be different for everybody. I mean, there could be some people who that, and we probably not recommend this, but they might need to completely pull back from, social media strategy and help cater maybe their clientele more directly, right? Mm-hmm. So that would mean that maybe they don't have as much time to get on social, but they are sort of pulling away from social media strategy and focusing more on their clients. And again, it just depends on a company by company basis. But I would say that it's crucial to just be able to change your strategy almost on a day-to-day basis, right? You need to look at what's literally happening on a day-to-day basis and be able to shift some of your posts or videos that you create in order to, again, just be self-aware of your community, of your audience, and everything that's happening, around us.
Right. We may see that, which I actually read an article, which we won't get into it, but let's just say this article stated that the U.S. was doing better or worse with handling COVID-19. It doesn't matter. But the point is that based off of this article or based off of what's happening right now, it could impact your business. And because of that, it literally was released like an hour ago. So it really is like a review your marketing strategy and your messaging and everything like that, like you were saying, almost right now daily, because you just want to be sensitive to the area. Like right now, we know that New York's just super much a hotbed as far as like, the amount of cases. So they're probably experiencing different thoughts and pain points than a lot of the rest of the country. So if your audience was in New York or you're marketing specifically in New York, your messaging should be very specific to that area, more so than just the pandemic that's going on across the country. Because I think generalizing the issue is different. People see it and view it differently in every area, So it does have to change. And, Christian and I have been working on a content calendar and a strategy calendar and everything like that. I think that doesn't necessarily go out the window, and it shouldn't go out the window. You should have kind of a cadence of the way that you do things and how you create content. But at the same time, you have to be flexible enough to say that, we have a very structured live video right now, but if something major happened here in Allen, Texas, or whatever that impacted our community, Christian and I would not probably talk about it. We would know that there was a situation and how we would want to handle it. And we may just go live, and it was not planned, and it was not, practiced. It was not structured. It may just be like, hey, this is what's going on right now. This is what you should do. There's been something that went on in Allen, and this is how it impacts you, or this is what went on in Collin County, and this is how it impacts you and how you should make a change. Because a lot of times for your messaging for social media, it's about timeliness, and especially now it's about timeliness. So your structure is great, but at the same time, you got to be flexible with that too. So I think that your strategy changes not only with the type of content, but the timeliness of when you put it out. Like, we can't just do this type of live video in 3 weeks and talk about the same things we're talking about now, because it's probably changed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And something that I think struck me down is businesses, I think, need to shift some of their messaging to be maybe more inspiring, more hopeful, in order just to, help other businesses and just normal folk that are stuck in their houses, just, make it a little bit better. And again, you can still use your creativity, but kind of maybe shifting a little bit of your messaging into more inspiring, more helpful content, and maybe not even looking for that sale, just looking to help out and stay on top of their minds.
Yeah, and I would say that more sales probably happen when you just have real conversations. We were listening to this yesterday. It's like conversions or sales or whatever happen in conversations. So your intent may not to be to sell something, and that should never really be your quote unquote intent. Your intent should always be from a heart of from service. And so you may actually drum up more business by just having a real conversation with somebody.
It's like, I think you did this yesterday, where this was on your personal page, not on our BitBranding page, but I think you asked a simple question on how this has been affecting you, or something along the lines of that. And you got like 30, 40 comments, maybe more.
Yeah. My question, and this is to everybody too, because I was going to ask you about this too, Christian, but it's like, so there's obviously there's two ways to look at it. And we've talked about this in our previous live stream. If people are looking at it, it's like, and I believe that optimism is always going to win overall. Nobody really wants to be around, I don't want to use the word Debbie because my mom's name's Debbie, but like a downer, versus like a more positive aspect. Like, people are just drawn towards like people who are happier and who are more positive. But my thought was, there's a lot of, not so good things going on, but the silver lining is that think about all the different car accidents that did not happen. And then one of my friends from Amsterdam, from the Netherlands, she actually said that their car accidents were down 50% and theft was down 40%. So it's like, there are a lot of bad things happening, but at the same time, how many lives were changed or not changed because that person didn't get in a car accident, that person didn't get mad and have road rage and potentially, get in a fight that night. Like, there's so many what ifs. What we do know and we can focus on, or what we can focus on, is either like how bad this is, or, hey, there's some good coming out of it. We're learning to adapt to working virtually and how our business can innovate and thrive, and other people are trying to learn that as well. So I just think there's, it's not right or wrong. It's just, there's a different spin to it. And that could be part of your messaging too, is more uplifting and inspirational, and just, challenging the kind of status quo of what's going on.
Yeah. Also shared, if you're friends with me on Facebook, I shared an article. I think it was like 30 or 40 some different thought leaders, basically just guessing how this will permanently change different things, right? How do you go to church? How do you do business? Potential new businesses that will be started right during all this, and have been already starting because of all this. So like Aaron said, yeah, there's always a silver lining or something positive that will come out of this.
And I think that there's some fun. It's bad to say that it's like fun or whatever else, but like it's just a question we asked over on our Instagram account, which is like, we're all doing this, which we're recording via Zoom. It's like, how many Zoom meetings have you guys been into this week? And there's like a couple people who are like, I've been in like 10 plus Zoom meetings, and this was on a Tuesday. So it's like, people are still doing what they want to do, but it's just like crazy. Like, we've all converted to like using Zoom or something like that. And it's, it's kind of fun to like ask and see like, yeah, I was on 3 Zoom calls, or this is my situation, or like the Brady Bunch example always comes up too. Like, who's part of the Brady Bunch now, or whatever. Like, there's all these memes and stuff. So it's kind of, takes your mind off of some of that stuff too. And then when in doubt, what I've noticed too is that if people are like this copy and pasted photo thing for a strategy, this could be part of your strategy. Is this has been used so many times, and it's for whatever reason people keep playing along. Is like, I don't want to see politics, and I don't want to see anything about COVID-19 today. So post a picture of something in your camera roll, or post something positive. And if you got a picture of a baby, you should just post that, because everybody's like, oh, babies are so much better than talking about either one of those. Or if you, like Christian, post a picture of your dog. People love those two things too. So sometimes getting back to the point of this is sometimes your strategy changes to something more human than it does more about your approach to your actual strategy and focusing on sales. It's more of like, let's just be humans here. And that may also turn into sales for your business too.
Can you hear that outside?
Yeah. What is that? Ice cream truck?
Is it bad? No, there's like I think a leaf blower.
Oh, okay. I did see, as a side note, that Hertz Donut. See, everybody's being innovative, which is, we should highlight Hertz Donuts here for a second. It's not a question. If there is somebody who comments, let us know. But they said they're going to all the neighborhoods in Frisco, and they're starting with like 3 neighborhoods a day, and they're going to be outside from this time to this time ish, and letting people know. And I've had like 2 people that I know who are moms who are like, my kids are getting freaking donuts. Like, we're going outside the neighborhood.
Wait, they're going out on like a donut truck?
And making donuts and delivering donuts like an ice cream truck. So
interesting.
I mean, super cool. And a great innovative way. It's like, we can't go get donuts, or it's not the best way to get donuts. So we're going to come to your neighborhood. And they'll probably make more sales, because people are like, please, thank you for bringing me the food. I love your donuts. And I just want to, have my kids go outside for a second and practice their distancing time, get some donuts.
That reminded me, and I wanted to talk about this a little bit earlier, but if, as a business owner, if you don't have a sort of emergency response policy or something like that in place right now, this would be a great time to implement something like that in your business. Where, for example, for us, we didn't really have a work from home or remote policy in place. So we have to kind of very quickly do a little bit of research and try to come up with something to, for us to be able to work from home and still be, consistent and productive from that setting. So I'm talking about, for example, like restaurants. Something like this happens, who's in charge of changing the hours on Yelp and changing the hours on Google and Facebook, and who's in charge of adding a message to your website? So all these things are things that a lot of businesses are probably just figuring out on a whim and trying to contact, hey, who's the one who's in charge of the website? Who's in charge of this? Whereas I think it will be a great opportunity for you to create something like that right now, where you have a single document or single place where you have all this information on who's in charge of what are the credentials to access, these different avenues, and what needs to be changed, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it'll be very, very beneficial to put that in place. And it's something that a lot of you may even not even thought about, or maybe it was in the back of your mind, but you've never thought that something like this would happen. But now you know, and it's probably a good idea to have that and be able to sort of activate code orange, or whatever you want to call it. And that just kind of puts a series of things in place, and people know who's in charge of doing what.
Yeah, exactly. It helps with, it helps alleviate panic too.
Yeah.
When there's something in place, it helps with making sure everybody's kind of as calm in the situation, or as calm as they can be, depending on the situation. Because I don't think many people could have predicted, actually pretty much nobody, obviously we've fixed it ahead of time, but nobody predicted that this would happen or the severity of this. So it's kind of preparing for the what if. So that's a good point. All right, so if you're jumping in live, it looks like there's been quite a few different people who've jumped in live. If you're jumping in live, you have a question about your business, drop them below. We're pulling them up live on the screen, and we will answer it specifically for your business. We have one more preloaded one, Jack, if you want to pull it up there, and we'll get that answered. And then as you guys are jumping in, even after the fact, go ahead and leave it on there. We'll be on here for at least well, not at least, we'll be on here for 15 more minutes. So if you come in between now and you have to jump out, and just make sure you're back before 12:45, we'll just be signing off then, but we'll try to answer as many questions as possible to come in here. And as Jack pulls it up, I'll go ahead and we can read it. So the question is, what kind of messaging should you use? Which we've kind of talked about a little bit, because I feel like the strategy and the messaging and the advertising, they're kind of like all together. And I guess that's just really some of the bigger pain points or the bigger problems that people are having is like, what messaging should I use? And one thing I would tell people is that you should go look at, other competition, or you should see other ads that people are running. And you can tell very quickly the ones who aren't paying attention at all, because their ads haven't changed. It's very generic and very universal. It's like, oh, you need to get a quote today, versus in these trying times, or, this is something going on in the communities, like, here's a way to help you. Like, it's a very specific messaging. So I think that the more specific you can be for this area and for this time, that's going to be the most beneficial for you, versus just keeping your old messaging out there, which I have seen a little bit of that, where people have just, to our question number one, should you continue to advertise? The answer is yes. But then they were like, okay, we'll just leave the same advertisements up. And it's like, oh no, like, it doesn't work that way, or it shouldn't work that way. Like, your advertising should change based off of what's going on. I mean, this is a big enough thing that you should go back, stop your ads, change the messaging, and then restart them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, we've really talked about the messaging already. Be inspirational, be educational, share useful content. It also may depend on the type of brand and business that you have, right? So you also don't want to completely shift your business persona just to kind of fit in with everyone else. But I think if you do it correctly, someone who's always maybe inspirational could still, share some funny things mixed in there to just help alleviate and have people laugh a little bit, right? So the same goes with, if you're typically just this more serious business and you heavily rely on that, maybe you can switch gears a little bit and add a little bit more inspirational things in there. So again, I think as far as your messaging and how you should, portray yourself in your business, yes, definitely change it a little bit. But you also don't want to completely do a 180 for your brand and your business.
Yeah, because I guess at the same time, like what you're saying, I mean, that's even more important, is like, we should be sensitive to the situation, but also, like, if Apple came out there and just started making fun, like, they're not necessarily known as like a brand that's going to go out and make like jokes or do that. They could, but it doesn't seem like the same kind of feel that you would get for their brand. Or if they started to do things that were like, I don't see Apple going out and making memes, you may see some brands go out and make memes or do something like that, but it doesn't necessarily, like, Apple can find their own way to be tactful with the situation and their messaging without having to go to a different level and create a meme or something else like that. That reminded me too, Christian, like, that one, that dance, the dun, dun, and then they do like the
Renegade.
Yeah. See, so like, I think for our, that has nothing to do with our messaging, but I'm just saying, like, there could be something to that. We could make something fun out of that, or not necessarily inspirational, but funny, or something like, even more so now, I feel like our brand could do something like that. But like a law firm doing it, I don't know. Like, I don't know, like, in this time, who that brand is supposed to be. Like, for example, if they were somebody who was a will and a trust and that kind of attorney, I would want them to be kind of level-headed and being able to talk me through the situation, and offer inspirational words in the sense that, you know, hey, we'll get through this and we're going to help your family. We're going to do this. But if I see a video like that of them doing like Renegade or something, and it's not online with their brand, it almost adds distrust to me, because I'm like, okay, they're having fun over here. They're the ones that I should be looking at to be more serious and who are going to take this very serious, because my will and my trust or whatever else is still very important. So like, I don't think that a lawyer just switches up the way that they do business or their brand and their messaging to do something that's more popular culture if that's not what they've done before. So I think that would be, like, to your point, is very confusing and probably almost hurt them in the long run.
Yeah. Agreed.
Awesome. Okay, so we have 5 people alive. If you have a question, drop them in. I think that's all the pre-questions that we have here. Was there anything else good, like you said, that we did not see? Obviously, the Preparedness Act, that was a bonus. Making sure you have some preparedness policy. A little bonus for you guys for lasting afterwards. But all right, we may end a little bit early. I know there's a little bit of a delay, so we'll stay around for like 1 more minute, just because I think it takes like a minute for you guys to hear this message. But if you have any questions, drop them below. And if you don't feel comfortable dropping them below, I just encourage you to do it, because a lot of people are probably going through a similar situation as you. But if you don't, you can also direct message us on Facebook or Instagram or something, and we'll try to answer that question too. And if something comes up afterwards and whatever else, we'll try to do more live content anyway, just to kind of be a resource for you guys and get these questions answered as you have them. And as things change, who knows? Collin County went into like a very confusing time where things are not banned, but they are banned. So it's, you know, we could talk about that for the businesses and how that impacts them or doesn't necessarily impact them. So as things change, we'll continue to go live and talk about marketing strategies. I think that we've went long enough now that they can actually would have left a comment if they were going to. So I think that's it.
Yeah.
Awesome. If you guys watch this far into it, after the live stream, please let us know. Leave a comment. We would love to know that you came in and joined us. Otherwise, we will see you guys. Jack's working on episode 200 for us for Tip for Tip. This has been going on for this almost 4 years now. So episode 200, I think April 20th will be 4 years for us. So, but episode 200 will be a blooper episode for next Wednesday. So make sure you guys check out for that, and make sure that you like our Facebook page so you get notified of all the live videos that we're doing, and stay up to date with all the content going on during the COVID-19 stuff.